Champions, part 2. What a marathon. We probably should have just stripped this thing right down and cleaned it, but false economy being what it was, we tried to do it a bit quicker and easier than that, and it ended up probably taking twice as long. But we got there in the end. We took the cat board off, fully cleaned it, recapped it. That's new Tube Amp Doctor caps, no affiliation. We've got new droppers, new balance resistors. We pulled a little bit more of the wiring out just to get some more exposed, well, snip off the melted ends and make new little terminations. There was enough slack in the wire, enough give in the chassis to pull it through a little bit further and make some new terminations to make everything nice and neat and tidy. So we took all the valves out, we cleaned all the valve sockets, we retensioned them, checked them all, they all appeared okay, retensioned the bear trap sockets, put a new fuse in, so it was a 2 amp instead of the 5 amp or whatever it was that was in here. So we'll flip her over. Now, on the bottom, the biggest issue was a massive wax buildup, and these 70s are very common that they have that problem. In the sort of higher voltage areas, the wax had actually sort of really bubbled where it gets warm near the valves. We tore it down section by section, cleaned that bit with the hot air gun as good as we could after scraping the excess wax off, the real thick stuff. We put paper towels under it, absorbed the wax with the paper towels, worked our way along, cleaned it with some alcohol, dried it, cleaned it with alcohol, dried it, did that a few times to dry the board out, get any residual moisture out of it. Even still, just to be on the safe side, we lifted a few points where there's a grid connection right next to a high voltage connection. Just the only other one which I'll see how we go is this this little one down here coming from the plate of well, the plate supply for V4A is right next to the reverb pots end. So we'll see if there's any crackliness and check the DC voltage on there and lift it if we need to. I was hoping not to because it's a bit of a flimsy connection. We might have to heat shrink something to it, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. We went through, changed all the drifted components. Some were already changed, and so I checked them, and if they were okay, they stayed in. We redid all the bypass caps, redid a bunch of dodgy solder connections, replaced the damaged phase inverter coupling cap with some new Panasonic ECQs, 630 volt. Put some new bias feed resistors because they were pretty far out of balance, and that would affect the left-right balance of the valves and their the dissipation. Redid the bias control to make it an absolute bias without the balance control anymore. So just as long as it's got a matched set of valves, you can change them both at once and set the bias point using the previously bias balance pot. Redid the bias board completely, got rid of the old rectifier on there, got rid of all the transformer mounting hardware, and we put the bolts back on, the nuts back on, and we soldered everything to the chassis. So now we're not relying on the big transformer bolts that come loose and warp the chassis as our main grounds. Re-terminated and redid all the mains wiring actually, because all that was wrong. Got our excess ground lead there, so if it pulls out, the ground will be the last thing connected for safety reasons. Redid all the HT wiring because that was all melted, and there was just some inexplicable crap in there that we just got rid of. Cleaned all the pots, cleaned all the knobs, cleaned the front panel, checked everything's tight. Geez, where are we at? We also placed some backup diodes on the rectifier, so if she ever does go short, it won't cause any damage, and you'll actually be able to finish the gig. In fact, you'll probably get more headroom because there'll be less voltage drop across the valve rectifier if she goes short circuit. We've got new screen grids down there, those lightweight 5 watters, 470 ohm. We've got some, well, the existing grid stoppers had already been changed. They look like metal film. We'll leave them in. We also worked on the lead dress a little bit, took out some excess wire where it wasn't required, and just neaten things up a bit. We might be able to fine tune it a bit better once we get it running and just check its stability, check that there's no thumping coming from the trem area, and check that everything's hunky-dory. So let's fire it up and we'll give it a quick test. Let's pop the cap cover on for safety's sake, and not repeat what I did several years ago, where I went to reach under and just shift the amp over a little bit and forgot that I had the doghouse off. And you can guess what happened. Hurts your pride more than anything else. First thing you do is look around and make sure no one saw you. Just like dropping a motorcycle. Who cares if you've lost a limb, as long as no one saw it happen. Alright, we're going to fire it up. Got the Lautsprecher plugged in, and we've got some signal going into the vibrato channel. Let's go for it. We've got our resistance of the primary of the output transformer showing there, so we'll switch that over to volts now that we know that. We've got our B plus shown on the mini fluke, and we've just got a meter for probing around on the 179 there. So let's go for it. Plugged in, we're in the power meter as usual. Just got standby switched on. Bang. We're drawing 95 watts, 73, 66, 63, 62. Coming up again as it conducts. 70, 72, 80. We've got signal. So we got rid of that dodgy wire on the V4. So that was one of the cathodes not having a reliable path to ground. So it was probably one of the very few solder joints we didn't touch up, and it got us. But now we're happy. So Signal Jenny tells us some stuff. Let's turn that off for a sec. Alright, so I've just adjusted the bias to what I calculated as being 3.2 volts drop on that and 2.4 on that. So they're almost bang on what I want for 55%. And that's well within the range of that pot first go, so happy days. So with the Signal Jenny turned off, we'll just crank it up, see if we can hear any crackling or popping or any weird behaviour, any oscillation. A little bit of noise in the reverb return, but it's got no input, so it's not counting our chickens before they hatch. We'll check for microphonics as usual. What I might do first is we'll just turn it down again and we'll give it some signal, and I haven't checked that the vibrato works yet. So this is the one where it needs to be grounded to work, so I'll get myself a little link cable. Right, so I've just got one of those RCA cheapy things, and it's just a link. It just connects the outside to the inside, so we can plug into the tremolo pedal and see that it works. Vibrato pedal, sorry. That's really tremolo. And we've got no trem. Okay, well that will be the next thing we track down. Yay. Bright switch works. Okay, so first things first, let's just check some voltages in that area. Now we do have oscillation occurring. See that bar graph down there? It's a cathode on V5A. So it's oscillating. So I wonder if my roach is bugging. Alright, so I just paralleled another little neon in there, and we can clearly see that it's oscillating, and it's okay, my mistake. My mistake. Had some incorrect wiring coming back from the intensity pot. So that was when I was removing each section and de-waxing the area. I must have got two wires mixed up. Yay, we all do it. So now we've got vibrato, tremolo. Wouldn't mind the intensity being a bit deeper. Sounds a bit shallow to me. So I might investigate that a bit further and see what we can do about that. I've got the master volume all the way up, just about 7 or 8. Got the volume all the way up, intensity all the way up on the vibrato channel. Reverb all the way up. We had a little bit of ticking, primarily from that cable coupling to that cap. So I'll just move that cap out of the way, swing it over that way, rearrange the wires so vibrato section is sort of in its own little channel through here, and she's pretty well dead quiet. All you can hear is a little bit of hiss from the first stage chopping in and out, but that's maxed out, and that's what you'd have anyway because the noise is getting tremoloed. So she's pretty quiet now, and that's maxed out, and let's turn the vibrato off. A little bit of hum, not much. Really should get some microphone on speaker action happening for these videos, but when you give me enough bloody revenue, I'll get an interface and I'll do that. But until then, you get what you get. So I can hear a bit of microphonics. That's cranked, mind you. It's V2. V4 is a bit crackly. Mind you, it is a head, so don't have a speaker right next to it. V2 is existing and V1's new, and V1's almost dead quiet. It's V2 that's the noisy problem child. So what we might do is swap it out with another one, change positions, and see if we can get a combo going where it's nice and quiet. But in the meantime, let's have a quick play. Very dark compared to a earlier one. Almost got to have the bright switched on. Lyle was doing a video of a similar model, same era, and just talked about having the bass down around 3. Anything above that's just way over the top, it's just showroom tone. I'd like to see that intensity a bit harder, a bit deeper. That's at 10. Let's master all the way up, so it's not really a master anymore. Set the master down. So that's distortion from the preamp. out great. You turn the master up, use it like a normal Fender. That is a non-master volume Fender. And it sounds like a slightly darker Fender. Yeah, that bass is right down. It's above 3 or 4, it starts to get pretty messy. That's at 2, and it sounds about right. We'll just check the normal channel as well. Again, things get pretty woofy above 3 on the bass. That's at 3. Let's go, girls. Bring the bright up. Bass 3, treble 6, volume 6, bright on. It's a bit of alright. Just single coil. Alright, let's try it with some reverb. Alrighty, so we've got, excuse me, the reverb tank plugged in now. Connectors are a bit shitty, so we're going to change them, put some nice switchcrafts on there. That's around 3 now. Pretty nice tank. It's pretty long decay. Probably about 4 seconds there. Crank her up, we'll go to 7. Probably about a 3 second RT60 if you want to be technical. So I'm not just making weird noises for the hell of it, I'm trying to listen to the reverb signal to see if it's distorted or any weirdness to it, but it sounds pretty clean. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. transition in overdrive is pretty smooth. Nothing's really buzzy or harsh. There's no breakouts into oscillation or anything like that. I'd say it's sounding pretty good. If anything, it's just a bit bass heavy. If you got the bass control above about 3 or 4, depending on the guitar, of course. But I'd say all in all, she's pretty fit and healthy now. So thanks for watching as usual, champions. I'll get on to cleaning the cabinet, all the boring stuff, changing the connectors and all that kind of gear, and then we'll get it back to the customer and get on the next one. So see you on the next one. You know where to find me.